This is Marlon Weems, and I am the publisher of the Journeyman newsletter. And I'm doing something different this evening. I am here with a very, very, very special guest, my daughter, the one and only Hallie-Claire Weems. Hey,
Hello.
girl, what's up?
Nothing.
And she is coming to us live from her abode in Wilmington as a newly graduated, an alum, pardon me, of the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. So, and also, I should add, a new publisher on Substack of a yet to be determined newsletter, yet to be named newsletter. So, talk to me. What's up? How's it feel?
I mean, which part?
I don't know. Not having any more homework.
It's weird. I've like been waking up and I'm just like, oh, I don't have anything to do today. Like,
Well, that is not going to last for long, believe me. We
yeah,
we're going to get you busy.
bring it like him. Yeah.
So, um, what do you think you want to do next? If you could do just like whatever, what would it be?
Um, I think I want to do something that isn't like creatively and physically. I don't want to do anything that's physically and creatively draining. Um, I because that's kind of where I've been for the last few years, like in school. It's kind of been I'm like,
Physically draining?
well, I mean, in a way, painting can be hard,
Yeah. Okay.
but I really want to like be able to just find my element and um just I don't know, be happy with what I do, with what I'm making. Um,
So, one of the things, and I don't know if folks that are on here um, that have children or that have graduated um, in areas not accounting, the base, the normal stuff, right? um, I am getting a lot of, well, what's she going to do with that degree? What's she going to do next? We even had, and I talked to you about this, we even had like a friend of ours, it just without us even asking, she's just sending your resume out to just random people, and we're getting emails talking about talking about like, you know they might have a job for you selling real estate. You think you want to sell some real estate?
if I wanted to do that,
And we're trying to figure out like, how do we tell these people basically to f off but not like lose our friends? Because, and I don't know how you feel about this, but to me, it's somewhat insulting because their perception of a person getting a degree in studio art like you have gotten, they seem to think that's like a throwaway degree, like, basket weaving or something.
right? I've gotten this so many times over the years. Like it's honestly been it's affected me in a lot of different ways because it's made it hard to kind of like be confident in what I do and like be proud of myself with the things that I've done in my degree. Like my own boss, I remember one time was like, what are you gonna do with that? And I was like, I mean, I'm still in school. I have time to figure out what career I'm gonna land in. Like I feel like it's such a multifaceted arena that people just don't really understand. Like it's and it's really frustrating. Um, but I trust in myself. Like I know what I can do. It I'm not responsible for what other people like think they know. Um, but with regard to like our family friends, I like at first I was like excited because I was like, oh cool, like I could possibly have like a cool career or whatever. But it feels sort of belittling because it's like, do you really think that I can't like do this on my own? Like, do you think I really need your help landing, like you said, like a real estate job? Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Like, that's not what I spent the past 4 years working towards.
4 years.
I'm my whole
But
life.
I know what you're saying, though.
But no,
Yeah. Go on. I want to hear more about this.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, I remember when I was a kid, like, you know, when people ask you like what you want to be when you grow up, artist was not ever something that was like a possibility for me because I didn't really. I guess I never really heard about people talking about how to be successful as an artist and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a kid, so it was like, oh, I want to be a singer. I want to be a dancer. It's like, no, you
Well, you
don't.
can do that too.
I could, yeah. I mean, I've done it. Like, so,
So,
like,
yeah, maybe we should talk about that for a minute because I know this last year, well, you've been in several plays, been nominated for Best Actress, representing the family.
mhm,
Um, and then, like the last year, you took off from that totally just to focus. So, are you thinking that you're gonna, look to go back into that area some? I know, like there was this one play you kind of passed on lately, but I mean, I figure you've got the time now if you
right.
want to pursue that.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot recently.
Yeah,
I think while I do enjoy like theater and I love acting,
yeah,
um, I feel like it's a very difficult like field to get into because it's so extremely competitive. So like if I wanted to be on TV, it would be really hard. Like unless I was like an extra or something like that. Um and I feel like I would have to dedicate a lot of time into that.
yeah,
Um and it's not doable, like obviously, but I feel like I would have to prepare myself for a lot of like rejection, um, which is a part of life. Obviously, like you're gonna you're not gonna get everything you want. But I think I decided in my art because it's always at the end of the day, it's always been me and my art. Like that I've always had that. And I don't really want to lose that. Um is I think like something I've kind of been struggling with like the past couple of years. I mean, really my entire time in college, it's been really hard to find my voice with my art because I've been kind of creating art for professors and other people, and I've kind of forgotten what it's been like to create for me. So I think um trying to take this time, this like period where I don't have to work a lot. I mean, I really should be working a lot, but
Wait a minute. Hold on. We're gonna have to talk about that offline.
uh,
Shannon, she says she ain't got to work a lot.
well, you know what I'm talking. You
I'm
no,
just playing.
no,
You
no, no,
knew I wasn't gonna pass that up, right? I'm just playing. I'm sorry.
know what I mean. Like, I'm at a really special time where I have the opportunity to like kind of like
I
ground.
know. I do know what you mean.
Yeah. So I love doing theater. I love doing theater. Like I love the community that it brings. Like I just love it. But I think like right now I'm not in a place where I feel like I like I don't know. It's just not I want to prioritize other things.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you're already. So, as you know, I have kind of told people about your art on here on Substack. Just a little bit. I mean, barely anybody knows you're my daughter.
Right.
Almost nobody. Which, by the way, everyone who's here, um, be sure to subscribe to Hallie-Claire's newsletter that is forthcoming. And she's on notes, so you can, chat it up with her. I think DMs are open to some. And while
No.
you're at it, if you're not a subscriber here, of course, DC, you were absolutely correct. I am a proud dad. She has been almost no trouble at all to raise, and she has made us very proud. So, um, for the most part. So we were talking about, you were telling me about something this afternoon, and I'm trying to remember. It was like you and your roommate were having a conversation. You remember you were telling me? Can you talk about that? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Let me trying to remember exactly.
I
We were
don't. I think
oh,
were we talking?
I remember what it was.
Okay.
So my roommate, we were just sitting on the
Wait a minute. Is that your mom on here? Right there, Shannon. I think. Hey, Shannon.
couch.
Okay, people, this is getting ready to get embarrassing. I'm so sorry. Well, now I don't know. I don't think I have seen. Oh, look who's there, Chaya. Hey,
Oh,
Chaya. Wait a minute. Let me just do some shout outs here real quick. Okay, my man Egberto, thank you for showing up, sir. Dr. Mary Marshall, thank you. Y'all see, I'm. You know what? I look at this, and this is social media is pretty, um, just like toxic 99% of the time. But this is like, if it can be good, this is kind of when it's good, because as of yet, nobody's shown up here acting crazy, and we're having a nice conversation, and you know, it's for good, right? Now, I want to hear what you were about to say of this thing you and your roommate were talking about.
yeah. So we were both sitting on the couch. We were kind of like on like on our phones or whatever. He suddenly is like, I get your opinion on something, and I was like, okay, where is this?
Where's this going, huh?
And she was like, um, basically talking about one of her friends that she's known for a really long time. Um, and they were like on the phone or something the other day, and she um kind of just somehow the election got brought up, and she
Oh
basically
boy.
she was basically saying how she voted third party because none of the other candidates aligned with her values. And
Which were what?
that's what I said. That's what I said. But and like my roommate didn't know exactly how to approach it because like it's kind of hard like bringing up politics with your friends, especially when it's like I mean even like just now in this like atmosphere it's just really heavy, I guess. um
Okay.
but yeah, that and it kind of just spiraled from there because we were just kind of talking about just people my age just not, I guess, understanding politics or not really caring to understand it because they think it's something that's like, I guess, not in their like, what am I trying to say? Like in
Well,
their
they don't think it affects them.
yeah, yeah, and it's really baffling because it's not hard to learn about this stuff. Like, it's just not, you know, like,
Oh, I know.
yeah.
if
Um,
you look in the right place, and that's the part. Well, like Brad and Ross, right?
mhm.
Um, and those are my two older sons, and I think I've talked about one of them like out of nowhere talking about the Earth was flat, and and you remember that how that turned out. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so what do you when you look at Democrats and you look at pardon me, at Republicans? I mean, what do you think the difference is between the two parties?
I the differences between Democrats and Republicans. Um, I think that well, okay.
Don't bite your tongue. Ain't nobody listening. It's just me.
Um,
Tell me. What you?
I that look, okay. One of the things that I will give Republicans credit for is like their tenacity or just like their the speed in which they can just like wreak havoc. Like Democrats, I feel like they move at an incredibly glacial pace. When it comes to like, you know, policies and but I feel like Republican and it's not all like it's not
Well,
obviously
yeah, obviously.
without saying. Um there's like a lack of like I don't know, I don't want to say empathy, but it almost feels like that to a certain extent. Um it's I'm trying to figure out how to say this in like a
I would just say I want you to say just how you feel about it because that's what we do
I
here.
don't okay.
Have you read any of my work?
I live
I know, right? So we do not bite our tongue at the journeyman. Say what you need to say. Speak talk your talk.
yeah, I feel like at least the Republicans that I have met and like been friends with, um,
Wait a minute, you got some Republican friends. We ain't talked about that.
not not anymore.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like there's like a almost like a self like a victimization, like a forced like oppressive state that they like put themselves into, where it's like there's like this threat that no one else sees but them. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh
It,
yeah.
yeah, and it's literally just oh, black people want equality. That's not we can't have that. Um, it's just yeah, basic human rights. Um, I feel like it's seen as like something being taken away from them. Um,
Mm.
and I think I don't know. I think some Republicans are redeemable, but like you um
I mean, at this point, it's sort of like, and some of the folks that I've had to deal with at this point, and one person in particular that we know used to come to your plays, used to hang with us, go out to dinner, drink wine. We're all friends, and you know, we're like, oh, can't believe Trump did what he did on January 6th, and then
yeah,
turn around and voted for him again.
yeah,
And that to me, I would much rather deal with a Republican who's just straight up from the word, from the jump, right? But that hurt me a lot because this person knows you, knows our family, knows your mom. knows we got a biracial family, knows my background, subscribed to my newsletter, paying subscriber, and still voted for Trump, which made me feel like, did this dude even like listen to anything that we were saying? Or like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I have said before, I think if, we look, 100 years from now, people are going to be looking back at this period like, what was like, like Star Trek, like looking back, like that
Yeah.
was when it all went wrong.
Yeah, it's like really such a strange phenomenon, like trying to interact with these people too, because it genuinely does not matter what you say. It doesn't matter if you have like every kind of like credible source on your side. It doesn't matter because it's like um they're like I don't believe it. Like it's not it that can't be like that's not real.
I
Like
know.
it's
I mean, I know it's, and what
yeah,
generally I used to, back in the days, when Twitter was a place where I would go, I would try to have like a back and forth with some of these people. And early on, like in like 2016, there were a lot of them that when you sort of presented the information, they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And okay, and I don't know, who knows what they ultimately did, but they would receive the information. And now it's sort of like you hit, at a certain point, you'll hit a wall, and all you get is like name calling, you
yeah,
know, and they suddenly, it's like you've hit a force field, and the response is for them to start, shooting bullets at you. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, or you just hate Trump. And it's
right.
like, well, okay, even if I liked him, he's still a felon. So what are we going to do with that? I mean, I would say to people that I know, okay, so you telling me him being a felon doesn't matter, but what if it was somebody else? Would you say that? I mean, these people were saying Hillary Clinton was a felon. She hadn't even been to jail.
Yeah, well,
She hadn't even been found guilty of anything. So, anyway, we could get real deep into that abyss. So I want to stay positive. So, I don't know. Do you think you might want to live in another country? I mean, like, if you could go, I mean, you're an artist.
mhm,
So if you could live in Italy and do what you do, I mean, you could do it you could do what you do literally from anywhere.
mhm. I mean,
Would
yeah, I would I mean,
would
with
you
the
come back?
huh? Oh,
Would you come back? Because I don't think I can afford to go with you.
right. No,
Or no, you know what? You could hit the big time, like these football players. Instead of buying us a house, just help us get out, please. Help us leave.
yeah, I would definitely like yeah, yeah. I think that there's so like I think about this all the time like whenever I go to like a different like I literally went to Raleigh, North Carolina and I was like, "Whoa, this is such a culture shock." I can't I
Raleigh, 2 hours away.
know like the Chick-fil-A was overwhelming enough over there. I imagine going to another country. I mean, but it would be such a beautiful experience because I feel like we tend to like keep ourselves in our comfortable little bubble and it at the end of the day I don't think it benefits us. Um I think that there are so many different ways of life. Um like people in other countries live so much better than us for a number of reasons. I mean, like
Yeah.
whether it's like they get paid better or like they have better access to like better food or it's like stuff like that. Um but yeah, I definitely want to travel. I want to like be able to travel and not be like worried that like worried about money. Like I just want to be like comfortable in it, you know? Um but yeah, I would definitely love to live in Italy. Like I would love to learn the language and like I just think it would make me smarter as a person too. Just
Well,
like
I think that's one of the biggest problems we as Americans have. I always think I have not been out of the country in years, and I've told you and Ben. Ben's my youngest son, for folks who don't know, and he would not deign to join us today. He's busy playing video games with his friends. But no, I've told both of you that if I had anything, if I could, one of the things I would do over is get out of America more often, because I think, the problem is, like, if you were in Europe and drove the equivalent of going to Raleigh, which is what, a couple of hours away, you could pass, depending on which direction you went, you could pass through at least one or two different countries,
yeah,
right? And each one of those countries has its own culture and its own language, and and just it would be like a different experience. So over the course of a weekend, you could just expose yourself to all this, as opposed to America. We go from here to Virginia and think we really did something, and it's not that. It's just not that much different, right? I mean, of course, there's a lot of cultural differences from state to state, but it's not the same. We all speak the same language, pretty much, watch the same stuff on TV. Everything. It's just not that much difference. And I
mhm,
think that really contributes to us being so insular. And that's why you have this whole group of folks that think we can just close the door, right? And, this America First thing, and it's not going to hurt us, because
well,
they don't even realize pretty much everything we like and everything we use comes from somewhere else.
right. I think that there's this idea that like the world like function without like certain things in American culture. Like America is like the pinnacle of like I don't know.
What you're describing is the myth of American
I
exceptionalism, right? I mean, look, and there is some truth to it. I mean, but I would argue uh, that a lot of what outside of America likes about American culture is Black culture.
I was
Fashion, music, sports. Um, it's that
yeah,
is the part of America that folks outside of America love.
right. I
I'm sure there are other things, but
mm,
you can't tell me the NBA is not popular in China, because because it is. Now Kid Rock ain't popular in China, but I bet if ASAP Rocky goes there, he's gonna draw a crowd.
mm,
So anyway, I just think that America just has such an identity crisis with accepting, and that's the whole, to me, the whole thing behind the whole anti DEI, just trying to scrub us out of the whole conversation, because they don't want to admit these folks that they kidnapped 400 years ago are like a crucial part of the culture, you
yeah.
know?
That was also something that I was talking to my roommate about because
Oh, yeah?
there's well, there's like I'm sure you're familiar with um like stan like language or like stan Twitter
Oh,
language
yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think so. Yeah.
that kind of thing. Like I've
No,
heard
but explain it, though.
okay, like 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 slay and like chow and like uh
Be specific for folks who don't know.
well, that like those words, like
Okay. Okay.
yeah, and there are like phrases I can't, I won't, yeah, but it literally comes from like black.
Oh, you mean white folks using those
Yeah,
words?
and because and I was telling my
Don't
roommate,
forget to take out your trash cans.
I think that, like because I think the phenomenon of like stan language. It's not black people. It's not like it doesn't come from African American vernacular English. It's just internet. Um.
Okay. Your mic is breaking up.
Oh, it is. Oh.
Yeah, you might be getting too far away. You're getting too emotional.
No.
Okay. No, go on, please.
Yeah. I think because on the internet, I think you can maintain a like level of anonymity, and so it's like you see people with like no profile saying like yes slay queen period like whatever. It's like, oh, that's just like a person saying these words that I don't know where they came from, so I'll just say it too because everyone's saying it, and you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so you're saying that people are using like our slang, but they don't want to acknowledge that we're the source. Is that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
um
you mean like high fiving and how we shaking hands and all that, right?
I mean, sure.
No, but I mean, that's the thing, though. I just, when I say, I think there's just this denial right now of among especially Republicans. I mean, because what is anti woke? What is that? They're saying black. It's not woke. Why would you?
I
It's just code, right?
buzzwords and they don't expect people to think about what they're saying because it's the same thing with like critical race theory. It's not what they're telling you it is. Like what? And like they don't want you to think about it. That's why I feel like they use it in the way that they do because they want to like fearmonger and pretend that this is a bigger issue than actually it's not even an issue. The issue is like these things are being conflated. They're being conflated to like actually shift people's attention to like away from it because they don't want to like because when you know about the things about what these things really mean and like what is actually systemically wrong, that's where people gain power. That's where I mean, knowledge is power. Like
Hmm.
that's why they're banning books. Like that's why they're like trying to dismantle the freaking school system. Like they don't want people to know. They don't want people to know. So
What do you think? What do you think? Let's just say Democrats. What do you think they should be doing that they're not doing?
trying harder. I don't know. Trying harder. I maybe not trying to like censor people like AOC. Like that's
No, say more about that. What do you
well,
mean?
we were talking a while ago about Nancy Pelosi, and I don't remember the details about that. So I
Oh, what we were talking about was, I guess after the November election, AOC was, she had her name in the hat to be the ranking member of the Oversight Committee, which is a pretty powerful committee. And in the beginning, if the news reports are right, she kind of had it in the bag. And Nancy Pelosi, who, by the way, is supposed to be kind of semi retired, right? I mean, she's not supposed to be the leader of the party, but she was in the background whipping votes against AOC to keep her from, from getting that role. And John is right. John is one of my favorites. He shows up all the time um, for my live streams. And look, both things can be true because John just said, he kicked Pelosi kicked Republican ass, and she has and did. But both things can be true. Yeah, she kicked Republicans ass, and she also took our best athlete off the field because we don't have anybody who can deliver a message better than AOC. We Tell me the Democrat that can go to Montana, Idaho, um, you pick the place and draw 30,000 people. Bernie, I guess, and her. And if you think you can send Chuck Schumer somewhere and even draw 100 people, I'd be shocked. And so, to me, that is a function of it's outside of party politics and more about who is going to have power. And I think we're just at this inflection point where, and I say this as a person who just turned 67, old folks got to know when to step aside. And every business, like when I was running a trading business, when I had the investment firm I started in Arkansas, we were required to have a succession plan of, what would happen if whoever's in charge can't do the job. And Democrats don't really have a succession plan. Republicans do. Now, we may not like the plan because that's how you end up with Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? That's how you end up with some of these other just crazy talking people. But they have a plan, and they already know who's going to be at the forefront 10 years from now because they're recruiting whoever that person is from the school board or the whatever, might be the dog catcher in Georgia somewhere. Democrats do not do that. They don't do it. Now, I think they're trying to because, and you and I talk about this lately, I have been getting text messages and it's never happened before, ever. And I've always been a Democrat where people are asking me if I'm interested in voting. And I'm kind of like, I think you're like 30 years too late, but you got, I mean, I'm not voting, I'm sorry, in running for office rather. And I think, but the good news is you got that same text message, right? So I guess that's a start, but dang, you know?
Mm. Yeah.
So, the Pelosi thing, I don't know. It's troublesome. And that's not the only thing. I just, she's just kind of in the background. And I feel like it's time, and it's not just her, right? It's not just her. I just think it's time to kind of you got to have some new folks. You got to have them.
Right. Because I feel like if you have the same people that kind of have the same ideals that they did, like, when they first,
I'm
yeah, it's like,
going to tell you the moment that I just was, and it's a meme now, but it was during George Floyd when all of the Democrats came out with the kente cloth thing and kneeled on one knee. And I was like,
oh,
okay, who in the room voted on this? Who that let me know there was nobody under 50 in the room because somebody your age would have said, hey y'all, don't do that. Don't.
like, hey,
Don't.
why don't we actually maybe try passing, something to help, like, instead of doing this performative stuff. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
I often.
What's that?
I think about that often.
No, really, I want you to say that again though, because I kind of lost. You mean just in terms of path? Well, I mean now Democrats aren't in power. But what's weird to me is let's just if we manage to win the House, observe how Republicans act, when they're not in the majority. They act like they are though. They do every possible thing they can do to pour sand in the gears, they do it, right? And if it means I'm not going to vote on, you know, judges and I'm going to hold it up and I don't care, that's what they'll do, right? I mean, look at what Tommy Tuberville did. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying they do not care. If it's, and let's face it, they don't mind breaking the rules. I'm not saying we should do that. But at the same time, the rules are as such. There are things we can do to hold up the process, and we just don't do it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading.
Yeah, I'm looking at what Deb says. We'll win the House, and we'll all stick together. If you don't like a Democrat, that oh well, yeah, I don't think that's an argument. I mean, nobody's saying
Oh yeah,
anything other than that.
Democrat.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, nobody's gonna vote for a Republican, Deb. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I think Democrats can do a lot better by us, right? And you have to acknowledge, if anybody that's paying attention, we've got like a whole little segment of Democrats that are not much better than Republicans because they always, we call them the moderate Democrats. And to me, this is not a time for moderation. Moderation doesn't get us anywhere. So, and that's a different conversation, I guess. But I just don't think um, this is this is not a time for bipartisanship to me. Because how do I, where do I find commonality with somebody who's over here, doing the Heil Hitler salute? I'm not sure where I'm supposed to meet that guy in the middle. Where's the middle? What do I have to give up to see his side of it? Because I'm not doing that. So uh, all we have right now holding the democracy together is the Democratic Party. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm in love with the Democratic Party. It's just what we have to work with right now. So anyway, that's my opinion. What do you think?
Well, that is like one of the reasons why it makes me so mad when I hear people in my generation talking about, and not even just my generation, just people in general, like talking about either not voting or voting third party because they don't entirely agree with Kamala's policies or whatever. And it's like, okay, that can be true, but comparatively speaking, like it's a no-brainer for me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
agree entirely. She doesn't have to be perfect, but I mean, she's pretty close in my opinion, but she doesn't have to. I feel like people expect politicians to be like the picture of like everything good or just be like, you know what I mean? And it's not,
Mm-hmm.
politics is a game. Like you have to know how to play it, right? Which means like sometimes you, and like I don't like saying that. Like I wish it wasn't like that, but it's like I you know, but it's like when you have like that, like you don't have to like politicians, whatever, but it's like you can't have a dude that's literally like a felon.
You would think, right? One would think.
Right. It's just I don't understand, and that just shows me how ignorant people can be, and it's like really discouraging. Um because it I feel like for me at least it takes a certain level of like empathy to vote for someone like because this person isn't just representing you. This person's representing the country and like the you know
Yeah.
is gonna yeah. So um sorry, I just
No,
saw
no, go. No, I want to hear more. Go on.
uh yeah, I'm trying to remember. I lost my train of thought.
Well, no. So you know, to your point, I always refer to, again, the guy that we know who we're talking about. We're having um, breakfast somewhere, and I don't even really know how I mentioned Kamala Harris. And this was, he wasn't running at the time. Joe Biden was still, running, and so this was right after Israel, um, the Hamas attack, right? So we're talking some. I think we're talking about that, and I just said her name. I wasn't even. uh, I don't know what the context was, but his response was, "Oh, you know what? She's an empty suit," and I I think that was, how in those like movies, like something will happen and the screen will freeze and the narrator will say, that's when I knew I was going to get whacked. I mean, it was like a moment like that where I was like, looking back on it, that's when I knew I could not trust this guy. Right. And I said to him, well, I just sort of named off her resume. Right. And I said, so if her name was like Mike Smith and she was white, would you really be saying that he was an empty suit? And he just looked at me because I don't think he expected me to crack on him like that. and and he did not have an answer. And he was like, well, I guess you're right. But that was his first thought, or his first response was just to denigrate this woman for, I don't know, whatever reason. Wonder what it could be. But
Right.
that told me a lot. Leave your phone alone.
Sorry, I
You're,
to
you're
die.
okay.
I
Okay,
don't
we're
know.
gonna have to give you some
Oh,
classes
no.
on.
I'll just hold it. I'll hold it. That'll
Okay, yeah, I think you should. We got to get you a ring light.
I
Okay,
really wasn't.
so folks, if you want to make some donations, now she does have, she does have a buy me a coffee link.
I,
So clearly, she needs a little stand and she needs a ring light.
yeah, no, I love the sun shining in my face. It's
No,
great.
actually, it kind of gives a good vibe. It really looks fresh, and
I'm glad.
but you're not supposed to tell people that's what it is, though.
Mm, well,
DC, you're absolutely right. Misogynoir, because there was no explanation. The guy just froze when I challenged him. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? She's an empty suit.
the thing that
Now
I
we
heard,
got a guy over here that's like, just I'm not trying to get on
we,
my horse.
we,
I can, but everybody here
we
knows.
already know,
Yeah.
it, the thing that I would hear a lot is like, oh, she slept her way to the top. And it's like, sorry. Like, I didn't realize we all of a sudden had a problem with something like that, considering the person you support and the like dozens of allegations, like
Really, at least if
allegations.
she did, it was consensual. I mean, come on.
I
This
mean,
dude is
like,
like,
and it's like,
he's just just a one man crime wave. I've never seen anything like it.
yeah, and it's like, you know what? Like, if she did sleep her way to the top, I mean, she deserves the position. I mean, she's incredibly qualified anyway. So it's like,
Well,
I,
I'm not accepting that as an argument,
I there, but it's just you can't like argue with it to begin with because it's based on nothing. Like, it's not based on anything. So it's,
Well,
I
now
mean,
that's you realize we do not need evidence anymore. Um, it's about 10 till, and I know you got things to do and places to go.
I have Sonic in my microwave that's waiting for me. So, um,
Sonic Drive In. Hey, look, don't sleep on Sonic now. Sonic's not bad,
it's not, and
especially when you're 22. So now
it's
at
like
67, do not eat Sonic. That is not on the menu of things I can be doing. But
someone said Charlie Kirk got to the college idiots.
oh, well, you know what? That goes back to what we were just saying about succession planning. I remember when Charlie Kirk was just kind of a guy on Twitter, right? Just saying a bunch of stuff. But you know what? The Koch brothers start throwing money at him. These guys don't have any problem getting funded. And that is also the thing about Democrats. And part of it, I think, is the donor class that we have, the good billionaires, right? They're not actually trying to see somebody like AOC who's talking about lifting up the working class or the 99%. They're not really trying to see that because lifting up the 99% comes out of their pocket, right? And I mean, look, we have to face the fact that these tax cuts that are trying to get pushed through right now, well, they help the 1% who happen to be Democrats as much as the 1% who are Republicans, right? Now, I'm not saying, look, guys like Mark Cuban, love the guy, but there is a reason why we as a party do not have a counter infrastructure versus a Charlie Kirk. He is not very smart. I have listened to this guy and you can see the gears locking up in his damn brain. He is
No.
not smart.
Yeah,
But
but you don't have to be
you don't have to
smart.
be.
That's not the thing.
You just have to know the talking points. Okay?
Yeah.
And I look, I will say this and it's going to sound self-serving. I do not understand why no Democrats have hit me up saying, "Hey, we've read your stuff." And I actually did get something one time, and but they hit me up on LinkedIn. I mean, really? LinkedIn? I'm right over here, if you're looking for me. But I just don't it doesn't make a lot of sense. There are a ton of guys out here. My man Egberto Willis, who I guess is still here, has a great YouTube channel, a great, well-produced show. I don't know, maybe they are, but he's in Texas? Why aren't Texas Democrats coming on his show? It's dumb. But these people will go out of their way on the other side. You'll look up and they're on Steve Bannon's old ratchet looking podcast, and they're on all of these fledgling. Think about this. What was it, a year ago or right before the election when it came out that Russia had funneled all this money to these various little rinky dink influencers, like hundreds of thousands of dollars for them to say whatever the conspiracy theory of the day was. I'm not saying Democrats should be, trafficking in that. I'm just saying, where is the money going? And it looks like it's going to a bunch of consultants that are just telling them to do the same thing. Because if you back up and look, we've won some presidential elections, but if you just take a step back, since Obama, if this was like a basketball team, some coaches would be getting fired. You know, you can't keep losing like this. We can't, you telling me we couldn't put together enough. And I understand all of the limitations that Kamala Harris had. I don't think it was fair, right? But how do you lose to a 35 count freaking felon, y'all? Come on. I'm sorry. How do you lose to this guy? We there and I get all this talk about, the folks who voted for Trump. I'm not talking about those folks. I'm talking about your friends who stayed at home. We weren't talking to them. We must not have been. We weren't talking to them. So I'm just saying something. We gotta do something different. So anyway, I have I will close my sermon here. Anyway, I want you to tell me. So, what do you want to do with this Substack? And we'll close on that. Tell me what you want to do with your Substack.
Um, I was actually really excited when I like made it because I've been meaning to and I think I told you this already, but I've been meaning to like find a place whether that was like creating my own website, which I'm actually in the process of doing right now. But I've been meaning to find a place where I could post my art and also write about it, because my art is like, obviously it's personal to me, as is like, you know, probably your writing, or but I have a lot of thoughts also that I just kind of want to get out there, and I'm not going to treat this as like a diary, because that's a bit, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my piece that I recently did for my senior exhibit, I really want to write about that. It's probably going to be my first thing that I post on here, if I'm being honest. Because I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of personal thoughts that I didn't really talk about in my oral defense at school, because it was, I feel like a lot of people just wanted to be done with it, so I tried to keep it within like a 5-minute like
Yeah.
time frame. But I really want to go in depth about it, because the piece truly is like, you know, while it is like it it does cover, you know, the lack of like representation, specifically with like people of color, like darker skinned people. Not that I'm dark skinned, but people that looks like me and you were represented as enslaved people in, you know, Baroque paintings and Renaissance paintings and just classical works.
Mm-hmm.
But that piece for me is in large part a piece about my mental health and just my identity and what it's like to be a woman, a female artist, a black artist, just in a sphere where it's just not represented. I mean, there are some amazing, amazing black female artists that are just out here doing it already. But um, yeah, I really wanted to make the piece personal to me, and not just something to hang up and just, you know, say that I, you know, did this. Um, but yeah, I really want to talk about that and just things like that. And not all my art is like really.
Were you cutting people's heads off?
Yeah, I draw really cool too, so I want to post like cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
Too. Because I really want to grow my digital art portfolio, and I really want to like post stuff about that. So yeah. But yeah.
Cool. So, thank you for doing this,
Yeah.
and you know, we're going to do it again. Um, and you know, I'm proud of you, and I know there are a lot of people pulling for you on here, and elsewhere.
Seen it.
So,
I've gotten a lot of comments. I was like, oh wow.
so you know, I am your biggest fan, as you well know. So, um, if you haven't done it already, hit the subscribe button. And someone asked, and I'll close with this. Someone asked, "Is there a place that they can buy your art?" And we're working on it. Um, I I guess right before COVID, um, I helped Hallie set up a like her own little, well, it wasn't so little, an Etsy business. I don't think we're going to go that route again, but she was selling prints in what, the 10th or 11th grade. So, but when COVID came along, you know, that kind of put us out of business. So we're going to revisit that, and you know, we will certainly keep everybody posted. Anyway, Hallie, I will. Are you coming to the house Friday?
I mean, you don't
Are,
have
we-
time
are, we-
for
are we
now.
gonna see you this weekend? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, hey, I love you, kiddo, and I will talk to you soon. And everybody, you know, I will see you on the other side. And take care, and thanks for showing up. Bye.
Bye.